I like Strats, but yeah, the Telly.
You don't have a Telly yet, do you?
No.
No?
I like how you say yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a Telly yet either. Actually.
No, really?
No.
The thing I want to do is save up for like an L5. I'm like, I probably gotta have that in my life. That's what happens is you just buy like a couple other guitars and you're like, damn it, if I didn't buy those 3 guitars, I could have this one awesome guitar.
I know. This is the trouble.
Struggle is real.
Everybody, welcome. Today we've got a real souped up bench. Alex is a very experienced guitar repairman, guitar builder, guitar craftsman, guitar player extraordinaire. You're somebody I'd like to call on when we have kind of a reaction to our On the Benches. And then also joined with one of my favorite guitar players on the planet. This is Erik Skov.
Hey.
Erik, along with Zach behind the camera and myself, we've been going to school together for
Years.
forever.
Well, we graduated.
Since grade school. Yeah, eventually we graduated.
Still in high
And Erik is a professional guitarist, and in fact I've studied for several years with Erik and learned much of what I know and owe much of what I know to my studies with Erik.
It's a little back and forth.
Well, like you always say, I think it's always a treat when we do get to play together.
Oh yeah.
So on top of talking about guitars today and looking at guitars on the bench, I think the plan is, of course, to plug in and play a little bit too. The task at hand is to check out this amazing workbench and show you what a souped up guitar workbench can look like. And Alex, let me allow you to introduce yourself a little bit, tell us kind of your background with making and fixing guitars, and we'll look at all your cool stuff here.
I'm Alex Gustafson. I went to Gallup School of Guitar Building and Repair in 2014. I started off actually as a Guitar Center GC garage tech for a little while. I worked at Chicago Fretworks for a little while. Stuff. Worked on a lot of Wilco guitars, a lot of vintage gear. That's where I learned a majority of like repair techniques and everything.
How much of it is science versus art, would you say, when it comes to guitar repair?
It's an interesting question because it's like 50-50. It depends on who you talk to though.
Yeah.
Because the Gallup school of thought is they try to figure out the science behind it, so it's a lot of measurements. Not as much feel, but then depending on, there's other repair guys, like Frank Ford is a big feel guy. Dan Wolf, the guy at Chicago Fretworks, he taught me a lot. He was a big feel guy. It's kind of half and half.
Yeah.
Measurements get you in the ballpark, and then you can adjust by feel.
And you have pretty much everything you could possibly need here to do nearly any job, probably except spraying a guitar, right?
Yep, pretty much everything except refinishing. I got a miter box over there, but you don't really use that for a lot of guitar repair.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's for cutting.
I got a double neck. You might be able to cut.
Yeah, maybe cut it. A lot of this stuff, like the bandsaw. I'm a part of a Hickory Hills Woodworking Club, which is like the median age is like 60 to 70. So.
Sure.
One of the guys in there, he had an old bandsaw. He was like, "My kids don't want it anymore. Do you want this bandsaw?" I'm like, "All right." So that was a gift.
Properly played.
It's always nice to see, like, see the back of the neck and stuff. Played through the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a lot, don't know a ton about it. Just knew that I always wanted a 335. A lot of my guitar teachers had them, like John McLean and John Mulder and stuff. And guys that I look up to have them as well, so I just kind of thought, yeah, that sounds like a good guitar. I've got to stop letting people touch my guitars. Yeah, sometimes when you play guitar duo gigs, you know, people will open it up, mess around with the truss rod, say you can do this to get better action, or this sound or that sound, and I'm always open to it, knowing that I can fall back on Alex. You know? And he'll fix it up and it'll be cool.
Nice. Can you give us like a crash course in fretwork?
This is actually the fret bench. It was actually just on here. So we have these blocks that have some torch on them.
Okay.
And this actually has a little hole cut out for the strap button. So then you strap it down. I take this off so then it gets like good pressure down so it's not going to move.
Okay.
And then once you level, like make the fretboard flat, you put these rests under it. So then when you go and stand, you're not gonna flex the neck.
Okay.
Anyway. So then when you stand everything level and flat, you can go through with your fret rocker and make sure nothing's.
So that should be totally level.
Totally level.
Yeah. And the sanding, then I'm assuming you would do it in a pretty large bar, right? A pretty big sanding wedge, or how?
You can do it that way, or you can do it by feel.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
back to that
yeah,
discussion.
I mean, there's people that have like radius sanding blocks
Okay.
for that specific reason, so it's like even all the way across.
Interesting.
And I just have like these little short blocks that you can get in there.
Okay.
Nice and.
So again, kind of halfway between a science and a feel thing.
Yeah. But then after you level everything, you go through with a crowning file, which is like one of these fancy little U-shaped files.
And tell us what that does.
It's a diamond file, so then once you have your flat spot, you sand it to make it nice and crowned.
Crowned, okay.
And you keep that sand line, so you know all the frets are level.
Oh, okay.
You keep that mark across. And then you just go up in sand grits and polish it all out.
Keep going.
Buff it out.
How do you protect the fretboard while you do that? You use like painter's tape or masking tape?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it depends. There's so many different schools of thought, and like, it's like at Fretworks, if it wasn't a maple board, you would just like sand it and treat it.
We had that whole firestorm about steel wool. In fact, I asked you last time I was here, I said, people got on my case about steel wool. And I said, I feel like maybe it just comes down to, again, a school of thought thing where some people say tape it, some people say don't tape it, some people say use it.
I mean,
that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
Steel wool on.
I mean, that's kind of the interesting part about like guitar repair is there's 1,000 ways to get the job done.
Right.
And it's just the difference is the schools of thought of like making it look good and play good without putting like a drywall screw through the headstock to glue it back together.
Because that will work. That's
right.
one of the 1,000 ways to do it.
It will work, but it's...
Which is what I've done with at least one headstock break. Unfortunately, I think I told you too. So, but there's things I will not attempt, and the fretwork is something that's really interesting just to see how you do that.
I mean, that was the one thing that I was like scared to work on before I went to school.
Yeah, frets.
And then it's like afterwards, like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You just gotta be confident in your abilities.
Awesome. Well, I know you were working on, looked like an older, was it a Melody Maker?
Yeah. So this was a guitar that was suspect to be screwed to the wall.
Oh,
Like
wow.
at like a restaurant or something.
Wow.
So they had a hole through the back that, don't get too close because the touch-up isn't that great. but like I doweled that and touched it up, and then he wanted the traditional switch up here. Those are the Waller mini humbuckers.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the mini humbuckers look really sharp on there.
Yeah.
Wow. What year was this?
67, I think.
we see one that's in the rough stage? Or
Yeah. Well,
can we
there's
look at your project wall over there. It looks
yeah,
like you
I
got
mean,
a few in the queue.
this is all project guitars to get worked on. This is the one that I'm building.
So this you're doing yourself? Too?
Yeah, I was messing
Awesome.
around with inlay ideas and stuff.
Would this be spruce or what would the?
So the top is Sitka spruce, and it's just maple back and sides and mahogany neck, and that's a marble wood fretboard. That's from Owl Lumber. Ebony's way too expensive for me to practice with.
Sure.
So
Is that a Martin?
it is not. It's actually a Washburn. To the best of my knowledge, around 1890s or
Wow.
so. But it's repaired from a guy in Chicago in like 1930. The guy signed the shoulder graph at a music store in Chicago that's no longer around.
That's so cool.
But
That is so cool.
dated in like, I think it said October.
Handwritten.
Handwritten.
Kind of like up in the side, or is it just like
on the back?
on the back, on the top.
So what they did is they
Wow.
cut the back off of this guitar.
Okay.
You can see it.
Oh, you can
'Cause
see
they-
the seam.
Yeah, because they did. I mean, back in the day, you just fixed an instrument to make it right.
And
so-
what kind of saw would you have to use to do something like that?
I mean, they probably just used like a.
So you can see, you know, I'm gonna turn this
Hand
camera a little bit. That is wild.
And then they just.
They
glued it
just
back,
cut the whole back straight off in a slice.
like all the way through, and like right through the heel, right through this side. And what they did is they tried to fix all these cracks and
Okay.
stuff. So there's a bunch of patches.
Back in the 30s, they were trying to fix
back
these
in the
cracks.
30s,
Wow.
yeah. So
Wow.
I haven't touched this one yet, but my dad actually found this at an auction for like $50.
Wow.
So, but here's one that's also in progress. A lot of these were when I was working at Fretwork still, because like Dan, I think I got Dan to like me because I would buy my own project guitars, and then instead of me just being like, hey, can I fix that customer guitar? Can I try a neck reset on a customer guitar? I would buy all these like ones off of Reverb that
Yeah.
were project guitars,
Okay.
and I would pop them off on. So
Oh,
like
there you
this
go.
this
Look
is
how
the
cool that
inside.
is.
Wow.
So
Of,
the steaming will just cause the glue to.
Right. So that's
Oh,
actually what these holes were. I'll drill into the
Oh, okay.
head block.
All right.
So then
you know, you hear these terms, neck reset, but I have never seen it, nor have I attempted it. I've
Right,
never
so
seen it
it's
done.
it's all about the neck angle is like either too far forward or too far back.
Sure.
There's like a sweet spot there. And
And you can't stick a piece of a business card in there like a bolt-on neck and try to shim it
Right,
yourself.
yeah,
and do all that
yeah.
crazy stuff. You have to pull the whole thing off.
it's not as easy to do that. It's a lot
Wow.
more involved. That's also like what makes it. That's why I like acoustic guitars. It takes a little bit more skill.
What is with this? Look at this.
It's a Motz. Have you heard of that? The mother of toilet seat.
Okay.
This one has a story to it.
Oh, I love this one. This right upper horn was missing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I ended up rebuilding the horn and did a full refinish to it. Did a refret, rewire.
So you had to shape this new piece of wood to match, and then do the finish. How would you do the finish checking?
This was I was working at Fretworks, so I had their
Oh.
finishing booth. Put it in the freezer. So like we would buff it all out and then put it in the freezer to try to get the finish to shrink quick, and that's how you get the stress checking in there.
But I mean, you looking at it, I mean,
Yeah.
you would never know.
Yeah. So then I take your keys out and you
Right.
make it look like it's
Right.
being played, but you can kind of see this line where the checking is going the other direction. That's where the horn, the different piece of wood was.
Well, thanks for giving us this tour. This has been amazing. I'm excited now to plug some guitars in and do a little jamming. All right, well, this is our favorite thing, getting the stories behind guitars, especially when it's first-hand knowledge of somebody who really knows how to restore, repair, build, and fix these amazing instruments in this collection. This has been Alex Gustafson and Erik Skov. We're about to plug in and play some of these guitars, make some noise, and it's been a treat. Make sure you drop a comment and let us know what your favorite guitar or repair story was in this collection. And I don't know, this is worthy of possibly a few episodes. This has been amazing. Thanks so much to Alex for giving us a tour of his amazing bench and shop, and thanks so much to Erik for being here. Both inspiring stories. So for Play and Trade Guitars, I'm John. Zach's behind the camera. Make sure you hit subscribe and like, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.